Hey podheads, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Starbuck, aka Prince of Dorkness, and today is my day off reading comics, so I'm going to give you a quick thumbs up, thumbs down review of what I read and whether or not I liked it, so that you can know whether or not you should be picking up these runs, either now or when they come out in trade paperbacks. So stick around, let's talk comics. Hey podheads, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Starbuck, aka Prince of Dorkness, and today was my day off reading comics. We're going to go ahead and take a look at what I read. I'm going to give you a quick thumbs up, thumbs down review, so that if you're following these books and you want to read them weekly, or if you want to pick them up in collected edition afterwards, you'll have a better idea of whether or not you should. So let's go over what I read. We'll get right into it. So the first book I read this week was The Amazing Spider-Man #1, and I'll do overhead shots of all of the books here so that you get a good idea of what the art looks like as well. But this is The Amazing Spider-Man #1 by Zeb Wells, John Romita Jr., Scott Hanna, and Marcio Meniz. This book was good. I liked this book. It felt a little strange because I didn't really know where we were. I haven't been reading The Amazing Spider-Man. I just picked up the ASM one because they were rebooting, thought it would be a good point to jump back on. And I don't know why Peter Parker's broke. I don't know why nobody likes him. I don't know what he stole from the Fantastic Four. I don't know if anybody knows these things, but if not, I'm excited to find out. And if so, someone please tell me in the comments below. I really enjoyed the book, but I don't really know what all's going on with it. So Spider-Man #1, big thumbs up. I hope that I know enough. All right, so our second book of the week was Punisher #2 by Aaron Saiz, Asazeta, and Stewart. This book got pick of the week last month when the first issue came out because it was just such an awesome story that kind of reminded me of some of the cooler Ennis notes in the Marvel Knights run. But really, I mean, what we've seen so far is the Punisher's been kind of resurrected, I guess, by the Hand. His dead wife has definitely been resurrected, and he is in charge of the Hand now because of it. This book does a really great flashback to seeing a young Frank Castle. So I'm a big fan of the Punisher Born series that Ennis did a long time ago. And it was a really great series because you get to see the origin and history of like when Frank becomes the Punisher, but you also get to see something that isn't often done in Punisher books, which is kind of imbuing him with like something of a mystical gift, if you will. This book was awesome because it goes all the way back to Frank's childhood, and you get to see like the beginnings, the trappings of the character, even at a young age, and yeah, it was awesome. Big thumbs up for Punisher #2. Definitely check that book out. Next up, we've got Action Comics #1042 by Johnson, Federici, and Luridge. So this book was we're still finishing up the Warworld saga. The previous issues of the book, I jumped into the Warworld story like in the 3rd issue or something, and I was a little lost then, but have kind of crept up and kind of been catching up as I read along. With this book, it was a little different because this book kind of, the story went back to Lois and some of the characters not on Warworld, which of course is a lot of referencing back to what happened just before all of this began. So again, I was kind of lost a little bit. The story was still good. I understood mostly what was going on, but a lot of the references were lost on me. So if you haven't been reading, the last 10 issues or so of Action Comics, I would give this a thumbs down because I think you'll be really lost. If you have been following along, then I think it's a thumbs up. It was a good book. I had a lot of fun reading it. Moving on. Alien #11 by Philip Kennedy Johnson, Salvador LaRocca, and Guru FX. This book is one that just keeps kind of going up and down for me. This issue was enjoyable, but left me kind of hanging a little bit, left me wanting more and just kind of overall feeling slightly disappointed. Maybe it's just that I haven't read this recently enough. Maybe the last issue I'll just have to go back, reread. But I mean, I followed the story along pretty well, but it just didn't really hook me the way that I think it was intended to. So For those reasons, I'm going to give this week's Alien a thumbs down. And that really saddens me because I love the Alien property. I'm really excited to see the Predator property coming back to Marvel here very soon. And I can't wait to see what they do with both properties, having them both in the same house. But yeah, Alien's not really doing it for me right now. But here's hoping. I feel like there's a lot of hope with that book. Moving forward, we have Bern, number 6 by Chip Zadarski and Jacob Phillips. So our first image book, our first image book of the week. This issue of Bern was unique because Bern's only in one panel. And even then, he's not even addressing the audience. It's just a scene that you've already seen. It's a single panel from a previous issue that we now see everything else that's playing out simultaneously elsewhere in this book. In this book, we get introduced to a completely new character. We see a backstory, origin, all of those fun things. And I really enjoyed it. I did forget, like no BS, like halfway through the book, I forgot what I was reading. I was really enjoying it, but I was like, what book am I reading? Super fun. Bern, big thumbs up. Chip Zadarski's just knocking it out with this one. I'm really digging it all. All right, coming up next, we have Batman Detective Comics by Tamaki, Shamas, Grace, Reyes, Lapham, Mickey Anderson, and Mulvihill. A lot of creators, but they got the backup on there and all of that kind of thing. So this story was a Riddler-centric story, and I felt like maybe it's just me, but I got some real, like, the Batman movie vibes from it because we've got the Riddler being a big social media presence. And again, I haven't really been caught up with everything Bat Family over the last 10 years, so maybe this is just a development that I'm not familiar with, but definitely feels like it kind of leaned into that with this book. That being said, the book was good. I didn't read the backup. I'm not a big Martian Manhunter fan, and I'm not going to start now. But I really enjoyed the detective story. I think it's a thumbs up. After that whole Tower series that we read over 12 issues or whatever it was, it's nice to kind of slow it down, get kind of more of a slow burn and have a book that's going to have a little bit more normal pacing. So I'm excited for that. Big thumbs up for Batman Detective Comics 1059. And so that brings us to our book of the week, guys. Our book of the week was, one-handed drum roll, Gunslinger Spawn number 7. My goodness, guys. So this is, of course, Todd McFarlane and Brett Booth. With Brett Booth's artwork, my goodness, guys. It's like, sometimes I felt like Sam Keith and Chris Bocciolo had a baby. I just love the style of work that Brett Booth is putting into this Gunslinger book. I think it's some of Todd's better writing. I'm really enjoying like just the way that it's written. The ending, has one of those endings where like your typical nobody bad guy stands up to the to our hero, and the hero decides to turn the other cheek, but then he says something crude to the lady, and that's the end of it, and that's the end of the book. I like that kind of stuff. I like that kind of ending, the classic revenge or avenging stories. All of the things that they've got going on in the Gunslinger book, and of course across all of the Spawn Universe books, when read independently, they're all pretty strong titles. Reading them concurrently does pose for a bit of a challenge because it's made it hard for me to keep track of where I'm at in the story. I really liked this book in the depiction, the artistic depiction of Gunslinger, like when he doesn't have his mask on and everything. I think the character looks cool. I think all around it was a pretty good book. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, guys. That was my video. Thank you so much for sticking around. Let me know what you think of these books in the comments. Also, let me know what you think I should be picking up. What are you reading? What is good? Talk to me, folks. I appreciate you. And once again, podheads, remember that when all else fails, take a nap. Good night.